The Testament of Benjamin, the 12th son of Jacob and Rachel, of the Apocrypha, the 12 Patriarchs. The copy of the words of Benjamin, which he commanded his sons to observe after he had lived 125 years, and he kissed them and said, As Isaac was born to Abraham in his old age, so also was I to Jacob. And since Rachel my mother died in giving me birth, I had no milk, therefore I was suckled by Bilhah, her handmaid. For Rachel remained barren for 12 years after she had borne Joseph, and she prayed to Ahiah with fasting 12 days, and she conceived and bare me. For my father loved Rachel dearly, and prayed that he might see 2 sons born from her. Therefore was I called Benjamin, that is, a son of days. And when I went into Egypt to Joseph, and my brethren recognized me, he said unto me, What did they tell my father when they sold me? And I said unto him, They dabbled thy coat with blood and sent it, and said, Know whether this be thy son's coat. And Joseph said unto me, Even so, brother, the Canaanite merchants stole me by force. And it came to pass that as they went on their way, they concealed my garment, as though a wild beast had met me and slain me. And so his associates sold me to the Ishmaelites. And they did not lie in saying this, for he wished to conceal from me the deeds of my brethren. And he called to him his brethren and said, Do not tell my father what you have done unto me, but tell him as I have told Benjamin. And let the thoughts among you be such, and let not these things come to the heart of my father. Do you also, therefore, my children, love mighty God Ahiah of heaven and earth, and keep his commandments, following the example of the good and holy man Joseph. And let your mind be unto good, even as you know me, for he that had his mind right seeth all things rightly. Fear you, mighty God Ahiah, and love your neighbor, and even though the spirits of Belial claim you to afflict you with every evil, yet shall they not have dominion over you, even as they have not over Joseph my brother. How many men wished to slay him, and mighty God Ahiah shielded him. For he that feared mighty God Ahiah and loved his neighbor cannot be smitten by the spirit of Belial, being shielded by the fear of mighty God Ahiah. Nor can he be ruled over by the device of men or beasts, for he is held by mighty God Ahiah through the love which he had toward his neighbor. For Joseph also besought our father that he would pray for his brethren, that mighty God Ahiah would not impute to them as sin whatever evil they had done unto him. And thus Jacob cried out, My good child, thou hast prevailed over the bowels of thy father Jacob. And he embraced him and kissed him for 2 hours, saying, In thee shall be fulfilled the prophecy of heaven concerning the Lamb of God and Savior of the world, and that a blameless one shall be delivered up for lawless men, and a sinless one shall die for ungodly men. In the blood of the covenant, for the salvation of the Gentiles and of Israel, and shall destroy Belial his servants. See you therefore, my children, the end of the good man. Be followers of his compassion, therefore, with a good mind, that you also may wear crowns of glory. For the good man hath not dark eye, for he showeth mercy unto all men, even though they be sinners. And though they devise with evil intent concerning him, by doing good he overcometh evil, being shielded by mighty God Ahiah. And he loveth the righteous as his own soul. If any one of you glorify, he envy him not. If any one is enriched, he is not jealous. If any one is valiant, he praiseth him. The virtuous man he laud, on the poor man he had mercy, and on the weak he had compassion. And to mighty God Ahiah he singeth praises. As for him who had the fear of mighty God Ahiah, he protected him as with a shield. Him that loveth mighty God Ahiah he helpeth. Him that he helpeth. Him that rejected the Most High he admonished and turned back. And him that had the grace of a good spirit he loveth as his own soul. If therefore you also have a good mind, that will both wicked men be at peace with you, and the profligate will reverence you and turn unto good, and the covetous will not only cease from their inordinate desire, but even give the objects of their covetousness to them that are afflicted. If you do well, even the unclean spirits will flee from you, and the beasts will dread you. For where there is reverence for good works and light in the mind, even darkness fleeth away from him. For if any one does violence to a holy man, he repenteth, for the holy man is merciful to his reviler, and holdeth his peace. And if any one betrayed a righteous man, the righteous man prayeth, though for a little he be humbled, yet not long after he appeared far more glorious, as was Joseph my brother. The inclination of the good man is not in the power of the deceit of the spirit of Belial, for the angel of peace guided his soul, and he gazed not passionately upon corruptible things, nor gathered together riches through a desire of pleasure. He delighted not in pleasure that grieveth for not his neighbor. He sated not himself with luxuries. He erred not in the uplifting of the eyes. Mighty God Ahia is his portion. The good inclination received not glory nor dishonor from men, and it knoweth not any guile, or lie, or fighting, or raveling. For mighty God Ahia dwelleth in him, and lightened up his soul, and he rejoiceth toward all men always. The good mind had not two tongues, of blessing and of cursing, of contumely and of honor, of sorrow and of joy, of quietness and confusion, and of hypocrisy and of truth, of poverty and of wealth, but it had one disposition, uncorrupt and pure, concerning all men. It had no double sight, nor double hearing, for in everything which he doeth he speaketh or seeth. He knoweth that mighty God Ahia look on his soul, and he cleanseth his mind, that he may not be condemned by men as well as by mighty God Ahia. And in like manner the works of Belial are twofold, and there is no singleness in them. Therefore, my children, I tell you, flee the malice of Belial, for he giveth a sword to them that obey him, and the sword is the mother of 7 evils. First, the mind conceiveth through Belial, and the first there is bloodshed. Secondly, ruin. Thirdly, tribulation. Fourthly, exile. Fifthly, death. Sixthly, panic. Seventhly, destruction. Therefore was Cain also delivered over into 7 vengeances by mighty God Ahia. For in every 100 years mighty God Ahia brought one plague upon him. And when he was 200 years old, he began to suffer, and in the 900th year he was destroyed. For on account of Abel his brother, with all the evils was he judged, but Lamech with 70 times 7, because for every those who are like Cain in envy and hatred of brethren shall be punished with the same judgment. And do you, my children, flee evil, doing envy and hatred of brethren, and cleave to goodness and love. He that hath a pure mind in love looketh not after a woman with a view to fornication, but he had no defilement in his heart, because the Spirit of God rested upon him. For as the sun is not defiled by shining on the dung and mire, but rather dried up both, and driveth away the evil smell, so also the pure mind also encompassed by the defilements of earth, rather it cleanseth them, and is not itself defiled. And I believe that there will be also evil doings among you, from the words of Enoch the righteous, that you shall commit fornication with the fornication of Sodom, and shall perish all save a few, and shall renew wanton deeds with woman, and the kingdom of mighty God Ahia shall not be among you, for straightway he shall take it away. Nevertheless, the temple of mighty God Ahia shall be in your portion, and the last temple shall be more glorious than the first. And the 12 tribes shall be gathered together there, and all the Gentiles, until the Most High shall send forth his salvation in the visitation of an only begotten prophet. And he shall enter into the first temple, and there shall mighty God Ahia be treated with outrage, and he shall be lifted up upon a tree. And the veil of the temple shall be rent, And the spirit of mighty God Ahiah shall pass on to the Gentiles as fire poured forth. And he shall ascend from Hades, and shall pass from earth into heaven. And I know how lowly he shall be upon the earth, and how glorious in heaven. Now when Joseph was in Egypt, I longed to see his figure and the form of his countenance. And through the prayers of Jacob my father I saw him, while awake in the daytime, even his entire figure, exactly as he was. And when he had said these things, he said unto them, Know you therefore, my children, that I am dying. Do you therefore trust or truth and righteousness, each one to his neighbor, and judgment unto confirmation, and keep the law of mighty God Ahiah and its commandments. For these things do I leave you instead of inheritance. Do you also therefore give them to your children for an everlasting possession? For so did both Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For all these things they gave us for an inheritance, saying, Keep the commandments of mighty God Ahiah, and to mighty God Ahiah shall reveal his salvation unto all Gentiles. And then shall you see Enoch, Noah, and Shem, and Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, rising on the right hand in gladness. Then shall we also rise, each one over our tribe, worshiping the King of heaven, who appeared upon earth in the form of a man in humility. And as many as believed on him on the earth shall rejoice with him. Then also all men shall rise, some unto glory and some unto shame. And mighty God Ahiah shall judge Israel first for their unrighteousness, for when he appeared as God in the flesh to deliver them, they believed him not. And then shall he judge all the Gentiles, as many as believed him not, when he appeared upon the earth. And he shall convict Israel through the chosen ones of the Gentiles, even as he reproved Esau through the Midianites who deceived their brethren, so that they fell into fornication and idolatry, and they were alienated from mighty God Ahiah, becoming therefore children in the portion of them that fear mighty God Ahiah. If you therefore, my children, walk in holiness according to the commandments of mighty God Ahiah, you shall again dwell securely with me, and all Israel shall be gathered unto mighty God Ahiah. And I shall no longer be called a raving wolf on account of your ravages, but a worker of mighty God Ahiah, distributing food to them that work what is good. And there shall rise up from my seed in the latter times one beloved of mighty God Ahiah, hearing upon the earth his voice, and a doer of the good pleasure of his will, enlightening with new knowledge all the Gentiles, even the light of knowledge, bursting in upon Israel for salvation, and tearing away from them like a wolf, and giving to the synagogues of the Gentiles. And to the consummation of the age shall he be in the synagogues of the Gentiles, and among their rulers, as a strain of music in the mouth of all. And he shall be inscribed in the holy books, both his works and his word, and he shall be a chosen one of mighty God Ahiah forever. And through them he shall go to and fro as Jacob my father, saying, He shall fill up that which lacketh of thy tribe. And when he finished his words, he said, I command you, my children, carry up my bones out of Egypt, and bury me at Hebron near my fathers. So Benjamin died 125 years old, at a good old age, and they placed him in a coffin. And in the 91st year from the entrance of the children of Israel into Egypt, they and their brethren brought up the bones of their fathers secretly during the Canaanitish war, and they buried them in Hebron by the feet of their father. And they returned from the land of Canaan and dwelt in Egypt until the day of their departure from the land of Egypt. And that is the end of Benjamin. Thank you for listening.